Louis van Gaal's men face Newcastle on Wednesday as they battle for a top 4 finish, and the Dutchman must play his captain as a striker rather than drop him into midfield. Louis van Gaal has always fancied himself as a pioneer, but the Manchester United manager may have taken his innovative ways too far this season in trying to convert his best striker into a central midfielder. If United is to finish in the top 4 this season, then Van Gaal must drop any plans for experimentation and play Wayne Rooney as a forward for the remainder of the campaign. Rooney is still one of the best strikers around, and he showed it on Saturday when he scored both of United's goals in the 2-0 home win over Sunderland to become the first player in Premier League history to score 10 or more goals in 11 straight seasons. It was ludicrous for Van Gaal to suggest last week that he does not have a striker who can score 20 goals a season when he has Rooney in his ranks, a player bearing down on the all-time scoring record for both United and England. It would also be foolish to neglect Rooney's strengths when United's Champions League ambitions are in such a perilous position as the club enters the decisive run-in. United is sandwiched between Arsenal and Liverpool in a race for a top 4 finish that is likely to go down to the final week of the season. Manchester City could still be dragged into the battle, while Southampton and Tottenham are poised to pounce on any dropped points. It would be a disaster for the most successful club in the country to fail to qualify for Europe's elite competition for the second season in a row, especially after last summer's £150 million trolley dash in the transfer market. Everyone assumed the David Moyes catastrophe was a one-off for United, but the club will need Rooney firing and at his best to stave off the challengers and prevent a repeat. Rooney has spent large chunks of the season as a midfielder, watching from the halfway line as Robin van Persie and Radamel Falcao have floundered in front of goal despite their reputations as two of the best strikers in the world. Van Persie has scored 10 goals this season in 24 appearances, but he has looked well past his best with some anonymous performances in big matches and a lack of movement as United has struggled to break teams down. The Dutchman is currently sidelined with an ankle problem, which may become a blessing in disguise for Van Gaal, as it has essentially forced United to partner Rooney with Falcao in attack. Falcao himself has struggled badly this season, scoring just 4 league goals at a strike rate of a goal every 251 minutes and, for one of the most clinical forwards around, has a dismal shot-to-goals conversion rate of just 16%. It would take a stunning return to form to now convince United to exercise the option to sign Falcao permanently in the summer in a £44 million transfer deal on a £240,000 a week salary package. Even when Falcao brilliantly won the penalty for United's opener against Sunderland, he was almost immediately substituted. It was a rare flash of quality in yet another generally miserable game for the Colombian, in which he lacked the sharpness to get away from opposition defenders. So the onus, more than ever, is on Rooney to lead the charge for the 20-time champion. There is sometimes a sense of disappointment that Rooney has never quite lived up to the exhilarating potential he showed as a fearless, prodigious teenager. But the United captain is still the club's most important player and the key to the club's chances of returning to the Champions League next season, the minimum requirement for Van Gaal, with Executive Vice Chairman Ed Woodward expecting a third-placed finish. Rooney has scored just 1 league goal in 618 minutes as a midfielder this season, in the 3-0 victory against Liverpool in December, averaging just 1.3 shots per game and failing to provide any assists in that deeper role. Compare that to the 9 goals he has scored when played elsewhere, either as a striker or number 10, with a record of 156.1 minutes per goal, 2.7 shots per game and 4 assists in total. If Van Gaal thinks his star-studded team has been short of goals, the obvious solution is to select a starting 11 built around creating chances for Rooney, especially with so many big-name signings off form. The 29-year-old will again start as a striker on Wednesday when United travels to Newcastle to take on one of his favourite opponents. Rooney has scored 12 career goals in 19 appearances against the North East club, and United fans will expect him to add to that record if Van Gaal's men are to return to Manchester with 3 points. Rooney has responded to being made United and England captain by setting the standard with his application and professionalism, losing weight, and becoming fitter than at any point since he joined the club in 2004. Described as undroppable by Van Gaal earlier in the season, now is the time for Rooney to dig United, and his manager, out of trouble. Failure to return to the Champions League this season is not an option with the strength of this United attack. Van Gaal has spent so much of the season tinkering with his tactics, formations, and personnel choices. There are 11 games left this season, and now is the time to stick to basics and get the best out of Rooney.